Hey there, Griff Hamlin here from Blues Guitar Unleashed. Welcome, thanks for joining me. In today's video, I want to talk about something that you may have heard me mention in the past. I call it playing follow the chord. And it is a soloing approach for when you step outside of the blues. Now to be clear, you can use this same approach in a blues. And it gives a very, very cool sound. But the way you handle dominant seventh chords in particular, that's kind of the blues thing. So, you've probably heard me talk about, like if you play a blues, and I'm going to try to make this as clear and brief as I can. If you play a blues, let's say you play a blues in A, right? We have a couple of different ways that we can approach that. Right, we have the A blues scale, A minor blues scale, good old box 1. And of course there are other boxes. Right, there's a lot of real estate we can use. We can use over the A7 chord, right? We can use either the A minor blues scale or the A major blues scale. Over the D7 chord, and again, in a blues, we got to be very, very clear. This is the 1-4-5 in A blues. The second chord is a D7 or D9 or D13, or some sort of dominant flavored chord. And we can use either, again, just the A minor blues, because we say it's a blues in A, and that doesn't mean it's in the key of A. That's a different topic for a different day. But we can use the A minor blues scale still over that D7 chord, or D7 family chord. Or we could use the D major blues scale. We can also use notes from the D minor blues scale. And I have to throw in the caveat here that using exclusively the D minor blues scale or the 4 minor blues scale over the 4 chord sounds a little weird. You really do have to mix and add in the major blues sound, in my opinion, to get the cool sound. Just throwing it out there. Over the 5 chord, over the E, okay, in this case. But I'm going to try and not speak so much in terms of letters. Of course, we can use still the A minor blues scale. We can use that one scale over all 3 chords, totally fine. Or we could use the E minor or the E major blues sound. Okay, so notice that we can basically take one scale to rule them all, right? We can play the A minor blues scale over everything, okay? Or we can play follow the chord. We can use both the major and the minor blues scales that go with each chord. Okay, so we've got 2 different approaches. And you may have heard me talk about this in terms of levels. I call them levels of sophistication. I have another video that talks about that. Sophistication level 1, when you're playing over a blues, you play the A minor blues scale, the 1 minor blues scale the whole time. Works great. Stevie Ray Vaughan, Albert King, Albert Collins, lots and lots and lots of famous blues players. That is their bread and butter. Okay, so just because I'm saying that these other things are more sophisticated doesn't make them better. It makes them different, and it makes them a little bit more difficult sometimes. Okay, to play. But level 2 sophistication is where we start to treat the 1 chord as its own thing. And we start to add in the minor major blues sound combination over the 1 chord. But over the 4 and the 5 chord, we don't. We go back to level 1 and we continue just playing the A minor blues sound, the 1 minor blues sound over the 4 and the 5 chord. All right, so I want to make sure that's very clear, because I know that this can be a really heady thing. It says like, it's blues, you're thinking too hard. I know, I get that. But it's really not that complicated if you just realize that any dominant 7th chord, we can play the major and minor blues scale that goes with that. Some people might call it the Mixolydian mode. You can look at it as a Mixolydian mode if you add in the blue notes. It kind of works out. It's kind of cool. But we have, again, these levels. So level 2, we start treating the 1 chord differently. Level 3, we start treating all 3 chords as if they're their own I sometimes call it every key is one, or every chord is one. You're treating each chord as a little island unto itself. So over the 1 chord, 1 major and 1 minor blues scale. Over the 4 chord, 4 major, 4 minor blues scale, put together again. Over the 5 chord, 5 major, 5 minor blues scale, again, put together, right? At any time, you can always go back to level 1 or level 2 and just hang out there. So it often sounds good to sort of go between the levels, right? Periodically do some level 3 stuff, but then go back to some level 1 stuff. That sort of brings it home. It's a cool sound, okay? Now, what happens, however, notice that in a blues, when we're talking about this, the dominant 7th chord is key, right? If we don't have these dominant 7th chords, if we were playing like, the Thrill Is Gone, which is B minor, E minor, right? We have just minor chords. That level 1, level 2, level 3, all of that stuff doesn't apply anymore because you don't want to play anything but the minor pentatonic scale over a minor chord. Okay? And that sort of leads me into this idea of follow the chord. There's a lot of music that isn't based around dominant 7th chords. Okay? On the way in, I was playing basically Axis Bold as Love by Jimi Hendrix. A major, not A7, A major. Okay? E, again, E major, not E7. F sharp minor, obviously we're not playing a blues, right? D. Okay, so while I have a 1 and I have a 5 and I have a 6 and a 4, okay, I can analyze that. I know how chords work. I know how keys work. I understand a few basic things, how to build a major scale, how the standard harmony rule works. And I can reverse engineer or analyze a given set of chords. I can figure out what key it is in, okay? That is a skill. If you have that skill, you can look at a set of chords and you can say, oh, all of those chords are in the key of A. I can play the A major scale over that. Cool, that is an option. Okay, but there's a lot of times when you get a group of chords that are not all in the same key, okay? Something like Hotel California always comes to mind because we go from B minor to F sharp 7 to A major to E. And from E major we go to G. Okay, well, I can tell you in no uncertain terms that there is no single key on the planet that is going to have both an E major chord in it and a G major chord in it. And if you know anything about theory, you know that to be true. If you don't know anything about theory, that's okay. You just have to believe me. Okay? So, let's go back to my bold as love changes. A, again, E, F sharp minor, and D. Okay, now again, as I said, I know a little bit. I know some theory. Okay? I actually know a lot of theory, but you don't need a lot. You just need a little bit. If you don't have that, though, might as well be a space shuttle launch. You don't know how it works. That's okay. You don't have to know how it works. But if you don't know how it works, your choices are slightly more limited. You get to do and play what I call follow the chord. Now, here's the thing. You might look at that and go, well, that sounds kind of bluesy. I'll just play the A minor blues scale over it. Well, I don't think you're going to love that sound. And in fact, I'm willing to put it to the test. I've got my looper here. So I'm going to play the chords. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, down to E, down to F sharp minor, and up to D. Just very simple. Okay, so that was just playing the A minor pentatonic scale over it. Maybe you thought that was cool, in which case, go on with your bad self and play that, okay? I'm not here to tell you that that's not good, but I will tell you that I don't like it. I don't think it sounds very good, okay? And I don't think that it does a good job of really showing the tonality of those chords. And I'm gonna guess that you listening are gonna feel kind of the same way. So when we talk about playing follow the chord, we have to play the pentatonic scale that goes with each chord. And I've done plenty of videos on this in the past. I don't want to get too crazy with it. But over the A major chord, over any major chord, I use the major pentatonic or blues. If you want to add in the blue note, that's totally fine. Now, I just played box 2. I could use the 3+2 pattern. That's a pattern I particularly like for a major sound. For E, again, I'm using the 3+2 pattern. Over a minor chord, any minor chord, you're going to play that chord's pentatonic minor sound. So F sharp minor chord gets F sharp minor pentatonic sound. And again, the box doesn't matter. The pattern doesn't matter. The scale matters. Okay? All the different minor pentatonic patterns all play the minor pentatonic scale. That's all that matters. The last chord, the D major, same thing. I'm going to play D major pentatonic. Now, a great way to practice this is to take away the time. And I know you're going to be like, Griff, what are you talking about? You're the biggest counter time guy on the planet. I get it. But when you're fishing around and you're learning a new sound, having something, sitting there beeping away, telling you to stay in time is really, that's very off-putting, and it's not really helping you achieve your goal, okay? The goal here is to say, all right, here's the chord, A major. I need a sound. I need that sound. Where do I play it? Okay, if you don't know, there's places to figure that out. But let's say that I'm going to say, I want to play with the 3+2 pattern. And don't push your string off the fretboard like I just did. Okay, now if you don't know the 3+2 pattern, that's fine. Maybe you know box 2 of the pentatonic scale. That'll work, right? Maybe you know box 4. Maybe you even use the dreaded 3-fret rule. And get box 1. Doesn't matter. I don't care. It's not important. What's important is that you get the sound, okay? Over the course of many practice sessions, you can try different ways to get that sound. That's how you learn the fretboard, okay? So take your time, but for now, go with one you know, right? Then, my next chord is E. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play A to start out, and I'm gonna mess around. Apparently I have an issue with my 6th string today. Right, so I'm just noodling. The next chord is going to be E. So I'm going to strike the chord, and I'm going to now mess around in E major. Now the next chord is F sharp minor. So I'm mess around in F sharp minor. And the final chord is in D. So I'm going to play around D major stuff, right? Whatever licks, whatever phrases you can use as long as they're in D major, right? D major pentatonic. Okay, so that, in a nutshell, is what I mean by playing follow the chord. Okay, now obviously, if you don't know those pentatonic scales, and maybe you don't have any licks in a major pentatonic sound, that's a different issue. Okay, you have to remember that soloing and improvising and playing in this way divides itself into sort of 3 legs. I always call it the 3-legged stool. There's the approach. This is an approach, right? There's approaches. Knowing theory, knowing scales, knowing patterns, all those kinds of things. Those are your approach. You know okay, I need an A major sound here. Okay, and maybe I know how to play it and maybe I don't, but at least I know that's the one I need, so I can go look up how to play it, right? If you know that's the one you need, but you can't see it on your fretboard, then you have a problem to solve. That's a good thing, right? You know, oh, I got to go learn that A major pentatonic scale. Now you have something that you can dig into, right? But you have an approach. You know that for every chord you're going to use the pentatonic scale that goes with it. What about though if we have something like the Hotel California changes, right? We have the B minor is the first chord. Right, so I'm going to play some B minor pentatonic, but then I have an F sharp 7. What should I play for an F sharp 7? Well, seventh chords, remember, those are kind of bluesy. Right, so I could play some kind of cool bluesy type stuff. And it would probably sound good. When I get to the A minor, now of course, if you happen to know that in the key of B minor, F sharp 7 is the 5 chord, and that should actually cause you to want to play the B harmonic minor scale. If you happen to know that, cool. You can go figure that out. Again, it's another sound. It's not the only one. If I don't have that, I can use some kind of bluesy stuff. Probably sound good. Over the A major, A suspended 2, or A major whatever. Again, A major pentatonic. E major pentatonic. G major pentatonic. D major pentatonic. E minor pentatonic. F sharp 7. Again, I'm going to use sort of bluesy thing. And then I'm back. Now, that is a great way to approach something that's got a bunch of chords that you don't know what they do. Okay, we talk about this a lot. Like, you've probably heard me say, you kind of have three options. If something is a blues, right, we have those three levels of approach, right? But if something is not a blues, you either have to be able to dissect it and analyze it, and then you'll know. If you can analyze this and say, okay, well, these chords are in this key, then you know the major scale that goes with that key is going to work over those chords. But if you don't know or don't want to take the time, right, and believe me, I can tell you that in many instances, if you're on the bandstand and you get the nod to play and take a solo and you've been playing the song and maybe you haven't been paying attention and you're like, oh shoot, I didn't think about what key this was actually in. Following the chords can be a great option, okay? And it's a sound in and of itself. Hendrix, for example, such a classic, example with things like Little Wing, right? Or like I said, Axis Bold as Love. Guys like Robbie Robertson and The Weight, right? There's a lot of examples of this style of playing where you're not analyzing chords, you're just kind of playing through it. So the question that I get a lot of times is, okay, where do I go? How do I learn more about this, or where is that? I obviously have videos, publicly available. You can search my blog, you can search YouTube, you can search Google, whatever. I do have a course called The Little Wing Lesson that's all about this kind of stuff, because Little Wing is a great example of this style of playing, of taking each chord, playing some cool, melodies and some little double stops and all that kind of stuff, all the those little cool double stops and those kinds of things that we dig on. So there are definitely options. It's not, but to jump into how any one of those things is done is no small feat, right? That's when the journey begins. This video here, this is the high level. This is the one where you get to sort of watch it and sort of mess around and say, okay, I see. But to really dig into any one thing is obviously not just a video. There's a lot more to it. So I'll leave you with that today. But what I hope you see and what I hope you understand more than anything is simply the fact that you can have different ways to approach a set of chords that are not a blues, okay? And as defined by being a 12-bar and 8-bar blues full of dominant seventh chords. If you don't have that, you always have those two options. You can either analyze it or not. And if you don't, you pretty much have to follow the chords with pentatonic scales. That's the only safe bet you have. And sometimes you'll mix and match. You might find something like, it's another Hendrix, right? And so you have like C, B flat, Wind Cries Mary, couldn't think of it, sorry. F, right? So 5, 4, 1. Okay, well that's all in the key of F. Until it goes to an A flat. And then it's not in the key of F anymore because A flat isn't in the key of F. So you might be and then all of a sudden I get to that A flat. So I go and I play some A flat major pentatonic. Why? Because it's an A flat major chord. So I'm going to play some of that kind of stuff. So over the over the C and the B flat and the F, that's all in the key of F. So I could just play F major the F major scale. Might not be the sound you're looking for. So you might actually prefer, playing like and actually following the chords just because it's a cool sound. C, B flat, F, A flat, right? And so even though I know that, hey, I could use the same scale over 3 of those chords, I just like the sound of doing it that way. And there you go. But again, if that's something you want to dig into, check out the Little Wing lesson. I know it doesn't say how to play Follow the Chord in the title, but the Little Wing is a song that is just huge on that style of playing. So it'd make a good jumping off point for you. All right, so there you go. There's my video for the day. I hope this makes a lot of sense and that you see conceptually how this could be put into play. All right. Have a good one. I will talk to you soon. Again, I'm Griff Hamlin from Blues Guitar Unleashed. If you have guitar playing friends that you think would dig this video, please share it with them. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.